All right, our first Hall of Fame nominee this evening is Thomas J. Leonard Jr., an individual whose name and achievements are synonymous with New Hampshire golf. To introduce and accept his nomination, please welcome to the stage his daughter, Lisa Leonard Pleat.
On behalf of my brother Jay, my sisters Jennifer and Holly, and the entire Tommy Leonard family, I'd like to thank Matt, Kate, Kinsey, Chelsea, and the New Hampshire Golf Association, David Larrabee and the Hall of Fame Committee, John Lewandowski too, for honoring our father here tonight. This recognition for our father, I can't be crying already, okay? Is very timely. Since just last month, we marked 50 years since our parents died. In 2 days, it will be my mother's birthday. It has been nearly 70 years since our father played competitive golf. We are humbled and so very grateful that you honor our father and bring his memory to life so many years later. Thank you. Who was Tommy Leonard? You may have seen the Player of the Year trophy with his name on it. And those of you who have been around for a while may hear his stories and his name during stadium time. But most in this room know very little about him. In preparation for tonight, I've been thinking about how I might honor my father by sharing who he was and saying or doing what he might say or do. If he could be here tonight. While he loved people, he was a very social, happy guy, so always the life of the party. So I'm sure he would be here mingling in the crowd earlier this evening, offering warm welcomes and congratulating the recipients. So for him and on behalf of my family, I congratulate all of tonight's honored guests and champions, and I welcome you all. Tommy Leonard was a lover and promoter of the game of golf. He grew up playing the game, but it was important to him that he contribute to its development. He was active with the New Hampshire Golf Association, the New England Golf Associations, involved with the USGA, and had hopes of contributing more on a national level later in his life. He saw such value in the game of golf that he wanted to encourage young people to play for their own benefit and for the growth of the game itself. If my father had the opportunity, I am sure he would be promoting the game here tonight. Would love the first tee in the NHGA junior program, and he would be so happy to see all the young players here tonight. My father appreciated, respected, and embraced all aspects of the game. During his competitive years, he played three-time major winner, World Golf Hall of Famer Julius Boros several times. One of those times was in the 1948 U.S. Amateur in Memphis, Tennessee. As the story goes, he and Boros were in extra holes when Boros's shot went out of bounds, hit a telephone pole, and came back in bounds. Boros won the match, but Tommy later shared that it was one of the most enjoyable rounds he had ever experienced. A month earlier, Tommy defeated Boros in the semifinals of the New England Amateur in Connecticut. He valued the good moments and the unfortunate moments, all as part of the game. Tommy Leonard was also very humble, unassuming man. He wasn't much for accolades or self-congratulation. He gave up his golf career when he was in his 30s, before I was born, to concentrate on his law practice, business endeavors, and raising his family. I am proud to say that my father was so humble that I didn't know he played competitive golf until he died, and I read it in the papers. He never took himself too seriously. Golf was important once, then family was important. While raising us, he was given the name Wagon Master because he was known for organizing activities for our family and friends to spend time together. Being a family man was his priority at that time, and he lived it 100%, just as he had lived golf 100% years before. While reading some old articles, I recently came upon a quote from just a month before he died. He had long before ended his competitive career, but he played in a father and son tournament with my brother Jay. They won, and he stated that it, quote, topped all the thrills of winning any state championships. Golf was important, but family was more. Tommy Leonard also had a great sense of humor and a good amount of pride. This became apparent when my mother got a hole-in-one while playing in a National Country Club Mickey Mouse on the old second hole at Nashua, now the sixth hole, a downhill par 3. My mother had a pink Flying Lady golf ball named after Dinah Shore. It matched her pink, green, and blue club heads. Supposedly, the only time my mother's ball was off the ground on that second hole was when it was on the tee. It rolled all the way down the hill into the hole. Now, the problem for my father was that the ball should now be placed in a case, but the ball was pink. And he couldn't have it that a pink ball would be encased. So to this day, in my home, there is an encased white Titleist 1, engraved hole-in-one, Mrs. T. Leonard Jr., August 30th, 1961. If my father could be here tonight, he would not be talking about himself or about his accomplishments. Instead, I imagine he would talk to you about the game he loved, the game of golf. So that is what I'll do. Jack Nicklaus once stated, "Golf is not and never has been a fair game." I think all of us here tonight, whether players or spectators such as myself, know the unfairness of the game. It demands patience, requires humility, and requests integrity. But golf is even more than that. It is, as my sister Jennifer has coined it, the great connector. It brings people together, like us tonight, and forges lifelong friendships. I cannot express the great kinship my husband and I feel with those who have competed with him through the years, friends like Danny, Peter, Steck, and Bob, who have been rivals but also friends with a great respect for one another. I'm sure my father and so many here tonight have experienced golf as the great connector as well. For my family, golf has been the great connector in a very personal way because it has linked family members who never met. My husband, Phil, didn't have the opportunity to meet his father-in-law. I'm going to get through this, okay? I just want you to know that. But in his travels for tournaments over the past 37 years, when others would hear he married Tommy Leonard's daughter, they would tell him stories of my dad. Many times through the years, Phil would come home and tell me those stories, ones I had not heard. And my husband, the man who never met my father, would teach me, his daughter, about who my father was. Those stories created a relationship between my husband and my father. It is a thrill to my family that Phil has won the Player of the Year award named after his father-in-law. But that's not all. This has also happened to my brother-in-law, golf professional Joe St. Laurent, tonight's recipient of the New Hampshire Pro of the Year award, when he would hear stories of my dad through the years. These men have connected with their father-in-law in a unique way. And how awesome is it that my father and two of his son-in-laws are being recognized here the same night. Thank you, NHGA and NHPGA. But still, that's not all. Golf also links generations that never touched. Here tonight are Kelly, Jenny, and James, a few of Tommy's 10 grandchildren. Their generation never touched my father's generation, but they have felt a connection with him through those great stories. My son James and my nephew Joel Jr. played in some of the same tournaments as their grandfather, even having their name engraved on the same trophy. Truly, golf has been a great connector for my family, and we are so grateful. The gift of golf is one my father discovered many years ago, not just as a great test of the mind and body, but as a game that brings people of all ages, all genders, all generations together. I'm sure he's smiling tonight. Once again, on behalf of my father, Tommy Leonard, thank you for honoring him tonight. In his spirit, may we be grateful for this great game, promote and honor the tradition of the game, and forge many great friendships along the way. Thank you.